Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea Ramirez, and today I am going to be making a YouTube video about my journey with OCD. And so I don't even know where to start because it's going to be a long story, and I'm just going to be talking about how I deal with it, how I cope with OCD, and how it started and how it is now, and talking about mainly about intrusive thoughts because a lot of people struggle with intrusive thoughts, and I struggle with them like every day. It's a daily battle with OCD. And before I get into my OCD story, I'm gonna explain about what OCD is. So OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder. So we got obsessions, which is the intrusive thoughts, and compulsions is the rituals or things you do after the thought to relieve yourself in the moment. And then disorder, which is a disorder. So it's called obsessive compulsive disorder. And a lot of people that don't know what it is, they think it's like cleaning, just about cleaning, just about organizing. And like they see sometimes there's like videos or movies about it, and they think like, oh, OCD is so if like the pencil is not lined up, like, oh, I have OCD. No, it's not that. It's way more than that. You literally need to like educate yourself on it and research, and before you think about using it as a joke or an adjective, because it's not just an adjective, it's not a joke, it's a debilitating mental illness that can really affect your life. And some people have taken their lives over OCD. So please don't use it as a joke. Please don't. Just because you don't like something organized doesn't mean you have OCD. So anyways, I'm going to be talking about how my OCD first started for me. My OCD started around probably like 6 years old or 7. So I would have a really bad I would have like a washing problem, like hand washing. I would hand wash my hands so freaking much, like I couldn't leave the bathroom. I would just like I would wash my hands and then be on the way out, and then I would have to turn back again to wash them again. And I did this maybe like more than 10 times every day because I couldn't leave the bathroom. And then like it got really bad until my hands started to bleed and got so dry. My mom needed to buy me lotion and everything, and they were bleeding and everything. It was just too much because I just had to do it. Like I just couldn't stop myself. I had to do it over and over again. And then I remember around 9, I had like a false memory, which is an intrusive thought. Like I was literally here, standing right here in my room, and I was looking out the window, and like I saw a car pass by, and then suddenly I got an intrusive thought. I was like, oh my god, what if I pulled down my pants and showed him the car my underwear, and I did something inappropriate. And then like OCD convinced me so much that I actually did this even though I never did. And I was like, okay, I have to do a compulsion. I have to confess it to my dad, so I could find some relief. And I was like, Dad, I don't know if I did this, but I think I did. And he really got mad at me. And the thing is, it never happened. So I got in trouble. I confessed for no reason. It was just all in my head. And that's when I was like, well, it's so weird. Like, because I was little, I was so confused. I didn't know what this was. I didn't know it was OCD or anything. Thought I was just weird. And then I would have a lot of intrusive thoughts, like, oh, if you don't touch this, your family's gonna die. If you don't touch the wall, something bad is gonna happen to your family. Or if you don't touch the wall, it means that you're a bad person or something. And I would just be touching everything in my room. I would touch the wall, I would touch my bed. Oh my god, it took so much. Like I just had to do it. If I didn't do it, then I felt like something bad is gonna happen. And like I just couldn't stop touching the wall. I had to get up and touch it. I had to get up and touch the door. I would also have so much problems with doors, which I still do to this day. like checking doors if they're locked, and until my hands hurt, you know. I still have to do that. And but the hand washing stopped, thank God. It stopped after like, when I was little. Like, it was there for a long time, for like maybe, I don't know, almost a few months, and then it stopped. So I don't know how, I moved to something else. And then I remember that when I was like 9, I had an intrusive thought. My mom made dinner for my family, and then I had an intrusive thought. Like, suddenly I was just watching the TV with them, and then suddenly my OCD was like, what if you poison the food? Because she like made rice or something, and then my OCD was like, what if you put poison in the rice and now your family's gonna die because of you? And then I was like, oh my God, I was obsessing. I was like, I was gonna do a compulsion, which was throw the food away so nothing bad can happen. But I didn't do it because I was like, no, I can't do that. Like, my mom made food. I was like, even if I did, like, because it was a false memory, I was like, I just have to like control it. Like, I know I never did that, but my mind is saying that I did. So I had to just find a way to just ignore it. But it was super hard. Like, I wanted to cry, and I was literally thinking about throwing the whole food away and throwing my mom's rice away and everything that she did, just so my family wouldn't get harmed, or just so they wouldn't get poisoned, even though I never did that or would do that. And never do that because it's just horrible. And then I remember after that, it was like around middle school, I think. Yes, it was around middle school that it was bad too. I've always had OCD my whole life. I remember that I was like, I would get my binder every single night before going to bed. During a school night, I would just get my binder, and I had like so many. I was messy, you know, like I have OCD and I'm super messy, because OCD isn't about cleaning. And then you can have OCD and be super freaking messy. I was so messy. I had so many papers. I had like thousands of papers in there. And then before I went to sleep, I had to count them, like every single one out now. And if I like messed up, I had to redo it again. And I was like 1, 2, 3. It would take like 2 hours. And then I would have to find my clothes for the next day and my shoes. And then I would count everything. I'd be like, my shoes, my clothes, and my binder. So I'd be like 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I would lay down, and then my OCD told me I just had to get up and do it again, you know, because I'm like, what if I don't have everything I need for school, or I forget something? So I had to get up again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I had to actually touch the stuff. 1, 2, 3. And then I would go back to bed, and I just had to get up and do it and count the papers. And then 1, 2, 3, and then go to sleep. Go to lay down. And then I had to get up again, count all the freaking papers and the freaking everything before I went to sleep. And it would just take so much. It was draining. And then I would also remember that I had problems with my locker in middle school. Like, I would check if like my stuff was in there, even though I put it in there. And then my mind would be like, no, what if you didn't put it in there, you just thought you did? So I had to just reopen it to eat for lunch, just like maybe like 3 or 4 times all the time, every time I used the locker. It was honestly exhausting. I remember that. And I would just be like, what if I didn't put it in there? And I would just kind of worry about it. And then I remember that in 7th grade, oh my God, this is where I kind of like realized that something like that I have like a problem or something, kind of. And like 7th grade, I had a boyfriend, and I remember that on the last day of school, he didn't have a phone, so I didn't have contact with him for like the whole summer going into 8th grade. And then he didn't have a phone. And then on the last day of school, I was so sad because I wasn't gonna see him for 3 months and not be in contact with him, you know. And like I was so sad. And then I hugged him, I kissed him and everything, and then I went home, and I was super sad. And then suddenly I got an intrusive thought, and my intrusive thought was, what if he broke up with you? You know, it just made a whole false memory. I was like, what if he broke up with you? And the memory felt so real in my head that I just obsessed for 3 months, every single day, every minute of every day for 3 months. I obsessed whether I was like, did he break up with me or not? and I just kept obsessing and obsessing, and I couldn't even enjoy my summer. I couldn't enjoy anything. I couldn't enjoy doing anything because I was just, the false memory was just in my head, and I was just ruminating and obsessing. And there were times where I would reassure myself. I would be like, no, he never did that, you know, we're still together, because I would replay the memory in my head, and I just like knew that never happened, but my OCD was like, but what if it did, you know, and you just forgot or something. And I literally was so upset. I was crying. I would be crying. I'd be like, oh my god, hope it's not true. And then when I went back to school in 8th grade, the first day of school, he hugged me. He was like, oh my god, I missed you so much. OCD lied. We never broke up. It just was all in my head. And you don't know how fucking exhausted I was, frustrated. I was like, I really just worried over this for nothing. And I remember telling my best friend at the time there, I remember telling her, I was like, oh my god, I'm scared that he broke up with me. And she'd be like, what do you mean? Like, she'd be like, no, he didn't. Like, wow. She's like, why do you think? She's like, that's so weird. Why would you think that? Or like, she's like, why do you think that? You know, because she was like, what the fuck? Like, you know, like someone without OCD is gonna be like, what? You know? And then I didn't know. I've always had false memories, always. And till this day, I still do. I still struggle with false memories, intrusive thoughts, you know. And I've had OCD my whole life, and I think I'm always going to have it. I need to accept that I'm always going to have it, because it's a chronic disorder. It does come and go. Sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's easy, but you gotta accept it. If you had OCD since you were little, you're gonna have it your whole life, you know. And I remember that when I got into high school, no, in middle school, I would have problems. I forgot to tell you guys, I would have problems with toilet paper. Oh, and okay, let me tell you the toilet paper first. I would have problems with toilet paper counting it, because when I would clean myself and I would get the toilet paper, my OCD would be like, what if, like false memories, it would be like, what if you didn't clean yourself? And like, what if you didn't clean yourself right? Or what if you didn't even grab toilet paper and you didn't clean yourself? And it made no sense. So I had to like count the paper, and I had to redo it over and over again, that I would waste so much paper. I would get in trouble like every day for it. Like, I would get yelled at all the time. And I was like, I'm sorry, mom and dad, I can't control it. Like, I have to do it. And I had to either count the paper, or I had to say a word or sing a song while I was cleaning, or I was like rolling it up. So then after I'm done using the bathroom, I could like remember that I did that, if that makes sense. So like, if I counted the paper, I would be like, I would say like a word. I'd be like, hi, and then clean myself. And then after I'm done using the bathroom and I go to my room, I'm like, okay, did I clean? So my OCD would be like, did you clean yourself? I'm like, yes, because I said a word and while I was doing it, you know what I mean? If that makes sense. And then it just kind of left me alone. It's just like, it was there every single day of my life, but there was sometimes where I didn't notice it, where it was so little, you know? But then I remember all of those that I literally struggled with, and I didn't know what it was. Since I didn't know what it was, I would sometimes just push it aside, you know? I would just be like, okay, I'm just like this because I'm like this, you know? And I'm like, I could control it. And there were some days where I didn't have it. There were some months or years where I didn't have it, but I still remember that I've had it since I was little, since I was in middle school and high school. And there was probably not years, but months that I didn't have it because I didn't notice it. And there was times where for like months or years where really like I would have to do something every day, or I had symptoms. But I had symptoms my whole life, so it's like I didn't know I had it, so I didn't know it was a real thing. I thought it was just me, you know. I thought it was just like that I would do weird things, because I'm pretty sure I had to do, my OCD made me do something every day when I was little till now, and I just didn't notice it. And then I got to high school, and I would say in high school it was pretty controlled. It was like if I didn't have it at all, I mean, sometimes like I would go to sleep and I would check my alarm and just checking it over and over again. I would put like 5 alarms and just check them and be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and I would turn off my phone and be ready to sleep, and I would be like, no, I have to do it again, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, you know. And I would also be praying, and I would get a thought like, fuck God. I'll be like, oh my God, no, I didn't mean that. And I would pray and pray and pray. Or sometimes I would get a bad thought and just knock on wood 3 times and just do it again and again and again. And then the next day it would be like if nothing happened. So it was like so barely noticeable, which was the best years of my life. And I remember I would also be kind of late to the bus because I had to like I had to like because I have a front door and then a front gate, so I have to open the door and then walk and then my front gate. So I would be like, did I close the gate? Did I close the front door? And I would have to go back and check. And I was like on my way over there, and I was like, I have to go back to check if the gate is closed. Even though I saw that the gate was closed, my OCD was like, it's not closed. You need to go back and check, you know, because or else someone can break in, someone can hurt your family, someone can kill them, and it's gonna be all your fault. I'm like, it was exhausting. And then so it was pretty controlled in high school though. It was like, even though those things would happen, I still would just get over it and didn't notice it, you know. And I would have days where I didn't have anything. And what else do I remember doing? Because I have a lot of stories. You know, I was doing very good in high school, very good, very good. And then it was 17 where it all fucking hit me. It was COVID. I feel like if COVID never happened, I wouldn't have this right now. Where it would probably be so it would be so controlled and so minor. So I would barely notice it. But since COVID happened, you know, the first lockdown back in January, 2020, like May or June. Around May or June, first lockdown, I started getting so many intrusive thoughts, and I was like, no, okay, let's go back to January and that year, 2020. January, before the COVID happened, I remember I went to California. I went to a California trip with my family, and then we went out to eat to this like Japanese place, and you know, like I think it was Japanese place, I don't know, but it was Chinese food. I don't know, I really don't know, but it was so good though. Love food, I love any food. And then like we were eating, and my dad was like eating in front of me, and once I just got an intrusive thought of someone like stabbing him in the neck or something while he was eating, like the waiter stabbing him, or someone coming in and just killing him or something. And I just couldn't even eat. I was trying so hard to like keep it together because my sister, her boyfriend, and my little sister and my mom and dad were there, and I was like, oh my God, why did I think that? Like, that's so horrible. I was like, in that moment I felt so horrible, you don't understand, because I didn't know what intrusive thoughts were. I thought that it was just me thinking them, and I remember I had it out of nowhere, and I was like, oh my God, like I was so scared. I was like, I don't want to have them. And then I remember that day it got ruined for me. And then the next day we went to my dad's sister's house, my aunt's house, and that day was fucking terrible because I was getting them still. I was like, oh my God, like why did I think that? Why did I think that yesterday? Or I think I got a new thought. I was like, oh my God, why am I thinking this, you know? And then I went to school the next day, and I told my friend Yama, my best friend Yama, I was like, Yama, I'm having these intrusive thoughts and I don't know what to do, like, you know, they're scaring me. And she was like, they're just thoughts. She would like reassure me. And then that week going to school, they just went away. They went away. I didn't get them again. And then it came back in like June 2020 during COVID lockdown, and they were thoughts like they started off as like the thoughts that I would get when I was little about what if I poisoned my family. Because I remember it was during COVID, my dad asked me to get a beer for him, so I opened the fridge, I got the beer, I opened it, and I gave it to him because he was outside. I opened the door and I gave it to him. And then when I got to my room, I got an intrusive thought. I was like, what if I put poison in it? Even though I don't even have any like thing like that. Or what if I put bleach in it or something? And then I got so fucking scared. I started crying, and I went back to the kitchen, and I had to like retrace my steps that I walked, and everything that I did when I gave him the beer. So I walked into the kitchen. I was like, okay. I'm walking to the kitchen. I remember I opened the fridge. I remember I grabbed the beer, opened it, gave it to him. Then I was like, okay, I didn't put anything. And then I had to redo it again and again and again and again and again, replaying and replaying and replaying and replaying. And then I forgot how I got over that one. I just like laid in my room, just bawling my eyes out and telling my cousin about it, and she reassured me. And then I was like, okay, I'm all good, you know? And then like like a month after, or a few days, I don't know, my grandpa from El Salvador came over, and he's like, I think he's diabetic or something. He was watching TV, and then my brain, I forgot that he's like diabetic. So I went to the fridge and I offered him a piece of candy. I was like, do you want candy? He was like, no. I was like, okay. And I put it back. And then my mind was like, were you trying to kill him because he's diabetic? Did you mean to do that on purpose? Did you want to actually do that, to give it to him so he could die or something? And I just went to my room and started feeling horrible, and just, it was just horrible. Like, the way OCD makes you feel is just fucking terrible. And then I remember that my thoughts were starting, but it was kind of controllable. I would just get like, I would get so sad and maybe cry, but then I would get over it like an hour later or something. And then I started getting really bad, you know, like the one day where everything spiraled, and I still remember it really perfectly. It was when my dad was redecorating my room, and I was in my sister's room because my dad was decorating my room, so I was just staying in my sister's room by myself. Or no, my older sister came and she stayed with me in that room. She came from California because she lives there, so she came to visit us, and me and her were in that room, so we were sharing it. And then that day I was so happy. I got up, I was like, hi dad, like good morning. And then I was like, I love you, or I forgot what I said. I was like, hi dad, good morning. I hugged him. And then I got an intrusive thought, and the intrusive thought was, hope he dies. And literally I quickly, like, I got so fucking scared. I quickly went into the room and I closed the door. I locked the door and I started sobbing. I started crying like so badly. I was like, oh my god, I didn't mean that. Like, I was praying to God. I was like, God, I didn't mean that, I swear. Like, it just popped up. And I remember being so scared, and I thought I was such a horrible person. I got my phone and I googled it. I was like, why am I getting thoughts that I don't mean? And then that's when I heard about OCD, and I was like, really? You know, I was like, oh my god. And then, but I still wasn't sure that I had that. You know, I thought I was just a bad person. And then I was like, oh my god, I'm so, and then I started getting scared to keep getting them, or get them about my family members or anybody. And since I was like scared to get them, I started getting them. So it's like, when you're scared to get an intrusive thought, you're going to get them, because you can't just stop thinking about one. You know, you can't stop thinking about something. It's very hard. You know, we have a brain, it thinks. So I remember that I didn't even want to leave my room. I made myself stay in there because I just didn't want to go outside and go see my family in the living room or the kitchen and get the thoughts. So I just wanted to be all by myself, because I didn't want to get intrusive thoughts about anybody, especially about my family, because those hurt the worst. And then I started getting them in my mind in my room, like, oh my god, hope they die, oh, so hope something happens to them. And I'll be like, oh my god, no. And then I remember that it got so bad that it started like, my OCD would tell my friend, would tell me and be like, what if you want your friends to die, or what, I hope he dies, or I hope she dies. And I'll be like, oh my god, like, please leave me alone, OCD, like, leave me alone. And like, I just started ruminating, and that's when it all hit me. That's when I developed Pure O. Pure O is pure obsessional, like OCD. So it's all in your head. You do mental compulsions and you ruminate and obsess. You know, like, I used to have like the compulsions where you would touch and everything, and I still do sometimes, but I have Pure O. So like, I ruminate all in my head and seek reassurance and tell people and stuff. I still do that because it's really hard to stop. So it got so bad that I just didn't know what I just didn't even, I was like, what if it's not even OCD, or what Google said? And I was like, what if I'm schizophrenic? And I was like, what if I start hearing voices? And then I got so scared, I started researching. I was like, oh my god, can OCD turn into schizophrenia? Do I have schizophrenia? Do I have this? I just kept researching and researching and obsessing. And I remember being so scared that I was schizophrenic. And it's like, there's subtypes, there's many themes of OCD. Which I would get to actually later. But anyways, I was having the schizophrenia OCD at the time. And I was researching. And I remember one day, I felt so much anxiety. I was with my boyfriend and I went outside to spend time with my grandma, my family, and I was like, why do I feel like this? Like, why am I so anxious? And I remember getting in the car and I was like, why am I having these thoughts? Like, God, I want to tell someone. And I remember like, I told my parents, I sat them down. I was like, Dad, Mom, I'm having these thoughts. Like, I'm feeling, what if I'm schizophrenic, or what if this and that? And they were reassuring me. They're like, you're not schizophrenic, you're not a bad person, these thoughts, you don't mean them, stuff like that. And then that night I slept so good because they gave me reassurance. I did a compulsion by telling them, and then they gave me reassurance. And when you do compulsions, you only get temporary relief, and then the doubts go back again. You start obsessing. So I remember going to sleep so freaking good that night. And then the next day they started again. And then I would tell my boyfriend, I'm like, please watch a movie with me over the phone, or please call me, or let's play Roblox. And then one night we were playing Roblox, and then I was like, I got a thought in my head, like it just ran. I just pictured a knife randomly in my head, and then I started shaking, and I was like, babe, I was like, I'm gonna go to sleep, good night, love you. I didn't tell him because I was so scared. And then we hung up, and I just shook the whole night. I was like shaking so badly, thinking that I was gonna get up and harm someone or harm my family, just because I pictured a knife in my head. And I was like, why did I picture that? Do I want to harm someone? And I remember it was fucking horrible. Sometimes I couldn't even go to the hospital, to the doctors, or see the hospital when I was driving by, because my mind would be like, hope they die, or like, hope he dies, or like, oh, hope my pet dies, or this and that. Like, I didn't mean it though. And then after I got the like knife image, that's where my harm OCD started. And let me tell you guys that my harm OCD was the most severe thing I've ever gone through in my life. Like, that shit is debilitating. You don't understand. Like, people without OCD, you don't understand the pain you go through when you have this. OCD is literally the worst. It's the top 10 most debilitating disorder. And because the thoughts feel that you guys probably think like, oh, like, just don't worry about your thoughts. But the thing is, we have a fear of being a bad person, of not being 100% sure about anything. So we want to know, be 100% certain that we're not going to do this or that, or that we're not this, or that we're a good person, and that we're not going to do anything, or that we got to be sure, So our thoughts feel so real to us, and they cause us severe suffering and pain. And sometimes even getting up from your bed is so hard. And I remember during my harm OCD days, I started getting just intrusive thoughts. Like, my thoughts would be like, kill them, hurt them. My biggest one was, what if you lose control in the middle of the night and harm your family with a knife or a machete? Because we had a machete here. And I remember being so scared of myself. I would even wake up. It gets me emotional talking about it, because like, it was the worst thing to go through. I remember that I would wake up every day and look in the mirror and just like see a complete monster. Like, that's how you feel. Like, you feel like you're a monster. And I couldn't even look in the mirror because I thought I was gonna see like an evil reflection, or like an evil monster. And like, I even thought I was possessed. Like, that's another type of OCD. I thought I was possessed. I got an egg, and I did like a spiritual cleanse. I was praying, rubbing it all over my body on the floor, because I thought I was possessed. I was like, if I'm getting these thoughts, I must be possessed, I thought I was evil. Nothing worked. I was just so desperate to get rid of it. And then that's when I started getting therapy. And my first therapist, I actually started going to therapy 2 years before that, because I had an eating disorder. I had bulimia, because I would I would severely work out every day. I was so skinny. I actually had a six-pack, and but the thing is, I would eat so healthy, and then when I came from home from school, I would devour everything in my fridge, bread, anything that I could eat, and then I would make myself throw it up because I was so afraid of getting fat. And I dealt with that for like maybe 2 years, 1 year, 2 years, and I started going to therapy for it. And then when these thoughts started, I told my therapist, I was like, I'm having these thoughts and I don't know why. Oh no, first I was like, I think I have OCD, and she was like, do you organize? I was like, no. She's like, then you don't. And I'm like, then what are these thoughts, you know? I told her. I was like, they're getting worse. And this was like in October, or like, because it started getting really, really bad in August and September. September started getting bad in November. October and November were the worst fucking months of my life. I feel like I was literally crippled, like mentally crippled. Like, some people even land in the hospital with OCD, and I never did. And I just don't know how. I felt like at that time, I don't know how I didn't land in the hospital, because I felt like I needed to be in there, you know, because I couldn't even function. When you have OCD, you can't even function. You can't eat. You can't do anything. You can't like sleep, because all you think about is you're obsessing over the thoughts and thinking you're a bad person. Sometimes you can't even get up and brush your teeth or do your hair because your OCD is like, you don't deserve it. You're a bad person. You don't deserve it. So sometimes I couldn't eat. I was like, I don't deserve it. I was like, sometimes I didn't do my makeup for like a whole 2 months, because I was like, I don't deserve it, you know. I don't deserve to look good. I don't deserve to even live if I'm a bad person, if I'm gonna harm someone. And I even thought of taking my own life, but so many times, because of this disorder. I remember when I just couldn't do it, and I went to my dad and I was like, Dad, I can't do it anymore. Like, these thoughts are getting the best of me. And like, that's when he sat me down. He told me that he went through the same thing when he was little with harm OCD. And he gave me reassurance. He was like, you're a good person, this and this, you know? And that's, if he never did that, I feel like I would have taken my life, actually, if I didn't talk to him that night. And it does get me emotional, because when I think about those days, they were so fucking horrible. They were literally debilitating. And I remember like writing in my diary. I still have it, but I remember writing in my diary, like, I would be like, I don't know why I have these thoughts, God. I love my family. I never want to hurt them. Like, I don't know why I get these thoughts. Or like, I was like, please, like, I was like, I love my mom. I love my dad. Like, they're the best thing ever. They're so nice. And I was like, please bring me peace, God, and like everything. And I remember writing that. And I suffered badly. Like, I suffered badly. And when I told my therapist about it, she was like, I don't know what this means. She's like, I don't know what this is. Let me search it up and I'll tell you in the next session. And she was like, maybe you're having violent thoughts because you're homicidal and you have homicidal ideation. She's like, don't worry, you're not gonna do anything. There's just thoughts. And I was like, I got so scared, because I was like, that sounds horrifying. And then I searched it up, because of course, you know, when you have OCD, you're gonna search everything up. And I was like, what is homicidal ideation? And it was like, people think of killing, like their fantasies or something. I was like, this doesn't sound like me. I don't fantasize. Like, I hate these thoughts. Like, I will do anything to get rid of them. I was willing to take my own life because I didn't want to think these thoughts. And they disturbed me. They disgusted me. Like, I hated them. I beated myself up so much for them. And I was like, I told her, I was like, this doesn't sound like me. I don't want this, you know? And then that's when I switched therapists. And then my new therapist, which is well, she's still my therapist now, Miss Andrea. She's great. I love her. She was the one who told me, she's like, this sounds like OCD to me. And I was like, yes. I told her, I was like, I think it's harm OCD, I explained it to her. And then she was the one who told me to get an OCD specialist, and I was with her for a few months. I was so scared to take medication because I was like, what if it makes me go violent? What if like I get addicted to them, I depend on them, And then I was like, no, I'm gonna try to do this on my own. But then it got so bad that I was like, I have no choice, I have to take them. And thank God for taking meds, because meds change your life. And it is possible to do it all on your own without meds, because my little sister has OCD, has harm OCD and Pure OCD, which is Pedo OCD. I will talk about that later. I also have that. She gets the intrusive thoughts, but she overcame it. Like, it doesn't bother her anymore, And that's why I'm like, dude, like, and she always supports me, and so does my family. But my little sister is like my best friend. Like, we are the same person, we think the same, we literally are the same person. And she's the one who has helped me through it a lot, and so has my boyfriend, which I freaking love him. And this is probably gonna be a long video because it's like a really long story. But anyways, I remember that I had harm OCD when I was 9 years old too. When I had harm OCD, I was like, I remember having this when I was 9. I remember telling my mom in the kitchen, I was like, please hide the knives, I'm scared I'm gonna hurt someone. And she was like, what? Don't be dumb, And then I had it for like maybe a day or two, and I was so scared, and then it went away. And now I came back when I was 17. I still have them sometimes. Literally like 3-4 days ago, I was worried I was gonna harm someone. But anyways, I started taking medication, and during November it was fucking horrible. Then I got a job at Wendy's by the Strip here in Vegas, and that's when it started getting a little bit better. The medication, I was taking 20 milligrams to start Prozac, fluoxetine, because it's like the main medicine for OCD. And I started taking it, and it started changing my thoughts a little bit. I read about POCD, this pedophile OCD, where there's harm OCD, fear of harming people, and there's pedophile OCD, fear of being a pedophile. You're not a pedo, you just fear them so much that you're like, OCD is always like, what if you become this person? What if you become a pedo or serial killer or a freaking narcissist or evil or something, And then like, I read about it and I was like, oh my god, I'm scared to have that. And then I started having it because I read about it. And then my OCD latched onto that. And then I remember like I would look at a child and I would get an intrusive thought and I didn't like it. And I was like, oh my god, I hate that. They would come as, because intrusive thoughts can come as words, commands, statements, anything. And I was like, oh my god. And then like, sometimes I couldn't even look at pictures of them because I would get an intrusive thought and I would hate it so freaking much. And before I had OCD, actually during OCD, I was like, I've always wanted to have a child. I was like, I want to have a kid at 18 years old because I love kids so much. And after OCD, it's like my dream of being a mom is gone. And I remember that I would have false memories, POCD false memories, that I did something bad to a child. I'm like, what if I did something bad, or what if I forgot, or I would be in the moment and be around them, and then I would be like, yep, I'm gonna get false memories. I'm like, when I get home, I'm gonna obsess. And then like, I'm like, okay, what if I did this? Like, and I would like confess it to my boyfriend. I would confess him everything. Since my harm OCD started, I would confess him every single thought I would get. And then he would always reassure me. He'd be like, no, baby, like, you're not gonna do that. Oh, you didn't do that. You're not a serial killer. You're not a pedo. And I would feel relieved. But then after I would feel relieved, I would get a new intrusive thought and I would have to confess it again. And the cycle continued. It's a cycle. You get a thought, you do a compulsion, you feel temporary relief, and then you gotta do it again. Thought, compulsion, temporary relief, obsess again, thought, compulsion. It's a cycle with OCD. And then my thoughts started changing during our work. I was like, I still had harm OCD, I had Pedo OCD, I had cheating OCD, which is, I was like, what if I cheated and I don't remember? I always have had false memories. I couldn't even be around men by myself because I would just leave the room because I was like, I know I'm gonna get a thought. And it was harm OCD, POCD, Pedo OCD, relationship OCD, which is our relationship OCD, which is cheating OCD. It's involved. And then I've had all themes. I've had all freaking themes. And that's when I started taking the medicine, when my thoughts started shifting to a theme to theme. So it changed. One day it'll be about this. One day it'll be harm. One day it will be about pedo. One day it'll be about schizophrenia. One day it'll be about being crazy. One day it'll be about what if I poison something? And then I started getting them a lot. And then December, I was doing a little bit better, until on Christmas Day, my friend, which is not my friend anymore, she switched up on me. She would always be like, oh no, it's okay, it's your OCD. And then she, just because I called her toxic, she got her and her older sister to tell me shit just to piss me off. They were like, you should be locked up with those harm thoughts. You should be, you're dangerous, or like, how is your family not scared of you? And then they were just telling me, that's the most horrible shit you can tell someone with OCD. That could literally make them commit. Like, and I was just sobbing. I was like, I have OCD, guys. Like, I literally go to therapy for it. And they were like, I have actual friends who have OCD and they actually struggle. I was like, I got diagnosed by a doctor, so, you know, shut up. And then I was like, OCD people have these thoughts. And she was like, well, it seems to me like OCD people are on the way to becoming serial killers. I was like, girl, and that's why, like, I forgot what I said. I was like, bitch, educate yourself. Like, even doctors can back us OCD people the fuck up. They can back us up. Like, you know, you search it up, bitch. Anyways, I remember sobbing that day and telling my dad. I was like, oh my god, dad, like, these people told me this. Like, I'm so scared. Like, you know, he was like, don't listen to what anybody tells you. And I was like, okay. And I still had a good day, even though that was horrible. But anyways, fuck them. Like, they're horrible. They're gonna get their karma, because, you know, you don't say that to someone. That's literally horrible. But OCD people are the kindest people ever, that's for sure. Because we suffer over our thoughts and we think that we're the worst person ever, even though we never did anything, even though we never will do anything. It's just our minds. And then in January, you know, I started getting better. I would go on walks, and like, if I saw an old man and I would get back home, my OCD, I would get it in the moment. I was like, oh my god, what if, like, I have a false memory that I went over there and had sex with him and cheated on my boyfriend. And I remember texting my therapist. I was like, oh my god, I'm so scared. You know, I was like, I'm so scared that what if I did this? I'm getting this false memory. And then I would also be scared to go out and take a walk and see little kids outside, because my OCD would be like, what if you did something bad to them? And then I would be just obsessed. I'd be like, oh my god, no, you know. It's like, I would always think of the worst shit you could do, and then, like, I would be like, what if I did that? What if I really did that? What if I'm going to do that? Even though I never did, you know. Even while making this video, my OCD's like, you're a manipulator. Why are you telling people this? You're lying. Like, OCD, shut the hell up. Like, shut the hell up. So, yeah, like, it started getting better, and a little bit, you know, it was more manageable a little bit because of the medication. Like, my doctor kept upping my dose. So then I went to Mexico and I had intrusive thoughts, I had false memories, and then, like, I don't know what the hell happened. I got home from Mexico in March, my OCD was gone. Like, it wasn't gone, but like, I would get an intrusive thought and I didn't give a fuck. I just be like, okay. And then you don't understand that I recovered and had the best months of my life. I was like, oh my god, I recovered from my OCD. Like, I have thoughts and I don't care anymore. And I was doing things. Like, I did break up with my boyfriend, but we are back together now, because I was like, oh my god, like, I recovered. Like, let me do things that I've always wanted to do. Like, I started smoking weed every day. I started doing my makeup, TikToks, just honestly living my life. Like, honestly, it was the most amazing months, because I was like, I'm free. Like, I would look back and just be like, oh my god, I can't believe I did it. And then I got heartbroken in September, and I fell back. I relapsed on my OCD. I'm recovering now, but I relapsed and I started getting bad again. I started getting thoughts slowly, like, until they got so bad. First I started getting thoughts like, what if I manifest something bad? Like, what if I, like, my thoughts, like, I manifest harm to my family? Or what if my dad goes to work and I plan something horrible for him to happen, for something to happen to him? And I started getting bad again, and I started confessing. And because when I got heartbroken, that moment I laid down and my thoughts spiraled. My OCD was like, oh, you're heartbroken, you're gonna harm someone. Like, it makes no sense. It was like, you're heartbroken, you're gonna kill yourself. And I started getting scared. I was like, oh my god, no. Like, and then I was like, oh my god, is my OCD coming back? And then I started like being scared that it was gonna come back, so it kind of came back, and like now I'm in it again, which I'm confessing every fucking time. And then it changed to pedo thoughts, and now that was like kind of my big theme again, like for like 2 months, 3 or 4 months now. And I hate that. It's like the most horrible theme. It's fucking ugly, and like nobody wants these thoughts. They're disgusting. They're fucking disgusting. And like, you don't want them at all. Like, you just want to get rid of them. You try to do anything, you know? And I was like, I got them again, and I was scared. I was like, dude, I've had these exact thoughts before. I had these exact thoughts before. Why am I getting scared of them now? But my OCD is like, what if this time it's different? What if this time it's true? Like, OCD always says that every time. Like, I heard that in like all my life. And then like, I started getting scared again. I started feeling depressed again. I would be so scared to go to the store and see kids and get thoughts. I would be like, oh my god. And then I would just go home and research about it again, even though I knew these things. I just needed to hear them so I could reassure myself. And it got so bad again that I was like, I was so scared that I was a pedo or something, and I wanted to kill myself. But then I told my little sister, and then we talked about it, and my family and everything. And I was like, how did I let myself get to that point if I already went through this? I'm not what my OCD says. I'm never going to be what my OCD says. And then I got a false memory that I'm still struggling with right now, that I went to my bestie's house, and like I hung out with her like siblings, and my OCD said I did something bad, and like I'm over here, like, I did confess so many times. I told my boyfriend, I told my sister, and I was like, oh my god, do I need to tell my bestie? And I was like, because I'm so ashamed of getting these thoughts. Like I don't want them. Like, I just want them away, like, so I could just have a normal brain, so I could just not have OCD and not have these thoughts. So I just don't want this. I want to have a normal life. I want to be able to not have these thoughts and just be happy and not struggle with it. And that's why I get so scared to tell anyone my thoughts, because I'm so scared that they'll think I'm crazy, or they'll think I'm a bad person, or that I actually did something. And like, I love kids so much, and I love my family, and OCD attacks what you value the most, you know? And I wanted to be a mom, and now it's like my OCD dream is gone because of Pure OCD. But now since I've been taking medication again, they've been changing to harm OCD or Pure OCD, and like false memories or anything like that, you know? Like, OCD will always convince you. OCD is the doubting disorder. It's called the doubting disorder and the what if disorder. You will always have what if thoughts. You will always doubt. Like, you can't win with OCD. You can't use logic. You can't be like, you know that you're not that. You know that you didn't do it. But OCD is gonna be like, what if though? And you have to, your OCD tells you that you have to figure it out, that you have to replay in your head if it did happen or not, if you did do this, or you have to figure out if you're going to do this. And the thing is, you don't have to figure out anything, because nothing in life is certain. You know, you're not going to be certain of anything. You could literally choke right now and die. You can literally walk outside and get shot. You can literally drive your car and get in an accident, you know? So the thing is, we're never going to be certain in life. So with OCD, you have to just be like, you know what? Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not a bad person. Maybe I did do that. Maybe I didn't. Oh well. But I'm going to keep going, keep pushing through. But the thing is, it takes, at first it's so damn hard to do this, you know, because your OCD is like screaming. It's like, no, you have to figure it out. So you have to take baby steps, but you'll get there, because if I did it, anybody can do it. If I recover the first time, anybody can do it. And like, I've seen so many recoveries, you know, and so many people go through this. There's thousands of us. We're not alone. And if your OCD tells you that you did something bad, you're gonna go to jail, or what if you killed someone in the past, or what if you raped someone in the past, or what if you're a pedo, or what if you're a serial killer, or what if you're an evil person, or what if you're a narcissist, manipulator, what if like you're schizophrenic, what if you're gonna go crazy, what if like you go violent, what if like you actually molested someone, you touched someone inappropriately, or you know, you're never gonna be certain, you know. And like, the fact that you obsess, you suffer, it means that you're a good person, that you would never do these things. And people with OCD, we have severe empathy. And even though this false memory won't leave me alone, you know, I know that I can do this, because I've been through this exact position before. I've had these exact false memories. I've had them before, you know, and I'm like, I can do it again, because, you know, I've never done these horrible things. I'm never going to. It's just my mind. It's just my OCD. And then I did get back in like March, I got a therapy called brain spotting, which you guys should look into if you have OCD. Also, ERP is very, very good, which I have tried on my own, which has been helpful, but I actually want to get specialized treatment with NOCD. And I'm going to, because I want to fully recover again, and actually recover, and actually like not relapse again. But the thing is, we don't know if we're gonna relapse, because we're not certain of anything. We just have to live day by day, like and make the best of it. With OCD, you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days. You can recover, though. You can for sure recover. You can get to the point where we can't get rid of intrusive thoughts. We have a brain. If we didn't have them, we would be brain dead. Everyone has them. Just like with us with OCD, they're sticky, and you know, they make us think that something is wrong with us, or it means something about us, or our morals and everything. And you just have to know that false memories are just like intrusive thoughts. They're intrusive thoughts, you know, they're just there. They just pop up, and you're like, oh my god, what if I did that? And there's relationship OCD, schizophrenia OCD, Pedo OCD, harm OCD, contamination OCD. There's a lot of subtypes. Religious OCD, which I also had. And you know, intrusive thoughts we all get, and we have to learn to not let them get to us. We have to sit with them. We have to just notice them. We're the observer of our thoughts. We're not our thoughts. You are not your thoughts. So people with OCD keep fighting, because we got this, you know? We're warriors, and we're freaking strong. And I'm going to keep making OCD videos for you guys, and singing videos, because I love to sing, and you know, whatever, you know? But this was my OCD journey. This is my mind, and this is my journey with OCD. I hope you guys enjoyed my story with OCD. Keep fighting. For those of you with OCD, please don't give up. Don't give up. Keep going, because it gets so much better. I promise you. You know, it gets so much better. Keep going. I love you guys, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.